Now, the most important thing you can do at work during this period is perform exceptionally well under difficult circumstances. Harking back to the previous information on the company's perspective, knowing full well that they're going to need key team players who are flexible, who can get things done, who can work under pressure. They're going to be looking at assessing at how people react and behave during this period. So your actions, your behavior, your communication really needs to be on point to make sure that you fall into the category that is much more likely to be retained and keep a position than the one that's going to be let go. And that's obviously very difficult. There will be a fair amount of negativity around you. And some might say, well, if you had to, two different people and one actually, went out there, worked really hard, performed, put in the extra time and effort and, tried their best to make things happen during the redundancy. And then another person just sort of cruised through it. And in the end, they both got made redundant. You could say, well, the one was a bit of a mug or a sucker. They put all this effort in and it didn't get them anywhere. I would argue, even in that scenario, fine, they've both lost their jobs. But think about it. Now they're in the job market. Which one of those people who spent their last weeks in a positive, proactive framework, going out there, making things happen, versus the person that cruised, coasted, and was negative, which one of those people is more likely to be hired? And it could well be those two very same people are going to be going after the same job in the job market if they're in the same industry and there's a limited number of employers and local options available. So it's for me, it's absolute no-brainer. So now, communication with your coworkers, and this is going to be such a hard one because you're all effectively in the same boat. You're all going through the same terrible process together. You're all going to be leaning on each other and hopefully supporting each other because that's what good teams do. But also in the back of everyone's mind, everyone knows full well that they're potentially in competition with their colleagues for a limited number of jobs, and that's also just a horrible feeling. And there is nothing you can do about that except remain cool, calm, professional. This is the time when rumor, gossip, speculation, all these things that happen in companies on a regular basis anyway, this is when they rocket up, particularly if senior management is not communicating, and as we mentioned earlier, they may not be able to communicate with you the details of what's going on in the background, and in that void of information, it's going to be filled by something. And my advice would be I would not really engage in the negativity, in the speculation, in as much as possible. I mean, it's going to be part and parcel of your conversations. But do be on the lookout for a certain special type of colleague. They do exist in companies. Have worked alongside one or two in my time. They are invariably called things like saboteurs, dark angels. These are the folks who actually will almost get a little bit of pleasure from the situation because they seem to like the chaos and the negativity. They like to be able to feel the power of being able to augment and disperse that type of negativity and see it negatively impact their colleagues. I've seen people who their strategy to succeed was basically to undermine all of their colleagues so that they would seem to be the one that comes out on top. And one of the best ways that they could undermine their colleagues was to constantly gripe and moan about how terrible things are and so on, and basically try to bring everybody down instead of focusing time on bringing them up. So if you do have people like that in your organization, obviously you may need to interact with them. That's just the way that it is, but again, just keep it somewhat distant, very calm, very professional. Do not be allowed to be sucked into and be part of or agree with any of the more negative things that these folks will be coming out with. It's just going to look so bad, and it's going to impact you and your positive frame of mind, which is what you're going to need to perform in your company and to keep your head straight and get on with the situation. And finally, communication with your organization's senior management. Now, depending on where your position is in the company, you may not have much in the way of direct communication. And by senior management, I'm defining these as the people who are actually deciding what the plan is, what the new structure is, and effectively who is going to be in and who's going to be out under the new regime when that is put into place. So they may be having visibility on any emails that you may be writing. This is time to be extremely careful about any of the wording that you have in your emails. Think twice before pushing the send button. Make sure that you read through and that everything that you're communicating within the company is clear, is positive, is proactive. It's all on the message of getting through this time in the most supportive and productive way possible. I have seen emails where people have made sarcastic comments that have been viewed by senior management, and it's like, just drive a stake through your own heart. Why don't you? Really, it's insane, but it happens. No, this is absolutely the time to be really, really, firm, crisp, and professional. And just know that they may be feeling quite awkward about the conversation with you because it is very one-sided. Your boss always has role power in the given situation, but no more so in the question of retaining or letting you go. So that's quite a tense side for either side of the table, whichever one you're sitting on. So I wouldn't read necessarily too much into people being a bit cautious on the other side. It's just the nature. It's just the nature of the beast that you're dealing with. But if you maintain things on a really professional basis, then you should be absolutely fine. And then when it's all over, one way or the other, hopefully you will have built strong relationships with your management team that will serve you in terms of your network in the future. Could be useful in terms of a job reference if you're going to be needing that, although I wouldn't ask for a job reference until it's actually been decided that you'll be definitely needing one. I'd perhaps be lining up other referees at this stage, but save that one. You just don't want to send that trigger message. That they will know anyway. I mean, they will know that their key top people will be potentially pursuing other options. I mean, that's going to be one of the worries that's going to keep them up at night. So I wouldn't put it in their face at this stage by asking for a reference straight off. So, in summary, workforce reductions, they're just awful things to go through, but you can make it better both for yourself as well as all the others around you, your family members, your co-workers, senior management within the company, just by making sure that you take the simple steps that we've outlined to get all the pieces in the puzzle in place to square away your finances, know what you need to be doing in terms of getting your CV, your resume together, prepare for potential job interviews, make sure that you're productive and making things happening at work, and be positive, supportive, productive, and proactive. And no matter how it ends up for you, doing all those things is just going to put you in a much stronger position to go out there and succeed in the job market and in your next opportunity, whatever that's going to be. Thanks for listening.